And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great conversation going on today. We're going to talk a little bit about the current day situation in Washington, D.C. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the organizations that have continued to act like they want to help Black people and they get money to help Black people, but they don't invest in the Black community. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know you're tuned in to Let the Truth Be Told Radio, and I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. Thank you. Folks, first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior, Yahshua of Nazareth, for making it possible to be here. And I want to thank all my listeners, first-time listeners, normal listeners, everybody who are listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. The message is getting out. The message of an organization or a radio station or a podcast that's putting good information out, not only for the Black community, but for all Americans. And so I want to thank the American people as they continue to support us, go to our sites, watch our show, share it around, and have discussions about the information that we're putting out here, because it's about common sense that we should know exactly, as the taxpayers and as the corporate dividend shareholders of this country, that we should know where our money's going and all the things that is happening. We should be in charge of, not the politicians. So Let the Truth Be Told is going to continue to put information out there that you can use to make good decisions on how you want the political leaders to act in your community. And saying that, let me get my co-host in. Hey, Doc, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, Doc, I am having a great day today. Got a lot of good news going on here in the house today, and I'm just happy that we're able to reach out for people when things are going wrong, and we can get some results right away. So I'm happy about that.
Good
Doc,
deal.
let me say this. You know, in the Bible, it talks about the lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And to the American people and patriots across this country, for the lack of knowledge, we saw how our country started to perish, because we didn't know that a lot of the stuff that was going on in the federal government, all the money that was being stolen, all the programs that they put together. See, what we, the people, have to understand is that when we see all of these programs, and believe you me, that the Democrats and those rhino Republicans focus on programs that affect the American people. And I was listening to Steve Harvey this morning, and I really took offense to the fact that they're putting misinformation out. They want the American people and patriots across this country who listen to these shows like the Steve Harvey Show, different shows who promote the food, the God, whatever his name is. These type of shows, they do not put good information out, Doc, because you would think there are Black radio stations. And the Black community is in shambles, not just here in Chicago, but I mean, in every major city. The Black community is suffering. And we have all of these people like Steve Harvey. We got all these rich folks, athletes, the Snoop Dogs. We got all of these people who are Black, but who have not invested money into the Black communities they came from. Your thoughts on that, Doc?
Well, with as far as Steve Harvey, he's owned. Let's just be real about
Yeah.
it. When you see his show or if you hear his radio program, and I've listened to Steve Harvey for years, and he always talks from a position of corralling or culling the Black community. Okay. Now, I'm not using culling in the sense of, trying to off people, but I'm using culling in the verbiage of corralling and making sure that Black people stay in their place. Right?
Yes.
If we are going to do the house Negro, field Negro situation, just think of Django Unchained and think of Samuel Jackson's character. Right? Keeping the Negroes in line like that, like that's his job. That's his job. Now, as far as like Snoop goes, he was towing the line, but I know him. I don't know him personal, but his last name is Broadus, so he is related to my children. And he did a lot of investing, and he still does, in the Black community in Diamond Bar, California, where he's from, raising his son with the football league. They didn't have a football league, and so he started one. So he's definitely invested back in the children. I know he's not wanted to be in the political spotlight, but when everything happened and they used him in videos and different things like that, they were using his influence. Right. But you did see him show up at Trump's party because he was like, money is green.
Well,
and I don't see color when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
I was there. He showed up at the Liberty Ball. I was there. Okay. Yeah. But what I'm saying, and to my Black brothers and sisters who are millionaires, if you are famous, how can you watch the Black community be decimated the way it is? How can you watch Black on Black crime and know that these young people need to be put in some type of direction to make a difference in their lives? If I was a millionaire, there's no way, if I had millions of dollars, there's no way that I could watch the school system in the Black community without me saying, you know what? Let the government have their money and let them have their schools. Let us create our own schools so that we can teach our children about Blackness. See, what's done happened, Doc, is the spirit and the pride of being Black is no longer existence into Black people.
Yeah.
That's what the enemy did. The enemy told our star basketball players, the Jordans and all the Kyrie Irvings and all the rest of them, don't put your money back into the Black community. They told the college graduates who make hundreds of thousands of dollars, don't put no money in the Black community. But by the way, you can make money off the Black community. Because that's what we've had to happen in our community. It's sad enough that the Black community is suffering because of self-inflicted wounds, because I keep talking about, and I'm saying it all over the country, the Black community needs to reinvest in itself.
Yeah, but it's hard to do that when you have people that look like us in positions of authority that give the business licenses to people who don't look like us, but allow them to predominantly be in Black neighborhoods. So how do you recycle those dollars, right? It does start with our local government. And unfortunately, that's how they've been able to keep the Black community disjointed, separated, and dirt poor.
Well, it's just like the situation that we stumbled upon with the programs that by the Climate Equitable Jobs Act. The Urban League, you're talking about 548 Foundation. These are all the Divine Nine people who got together. And see, Safer Foundation, all of these Black supposed organizations, they have not been conducive to help the Black community. They have been parasites the whole time. The Urban League been around for almost 100 years. You would think that organizations like the Urban League, the NAACP, the National Action Network with Al Sharpton and them, you would think that the ACLU, all of these organizations who say that they want to build, they want to help the Black community, they want to ensure that their civil rights stay intact. But to the American people and patriots across this country, during the last 4 years and even before that, we saw that these organizations does not help the Black community, but they receive trillions of federal dollars funding to do so.
They do. And it's become a business model. It's not a situation where they actually want to eradicate homelessness or eradicate poverty. They want to use it to enrich themselves. And that's the most disgusting part about what is happening.
And that's what bothers me the most too, because, you know, if you take a look at it, it doesn't require a lot. It just requires some type of unity and some honesty and integrity, because all the money that is going through the Black community, that are going to these NGO organizations, that money is not even touching the Black community to creating the economics. It's not touching the community to where that Black people can learn about financial literacy. These organizations are not putting in any money or creating economics to say, hey, you know what, Black people, we need to be organized and let's open a bank. These organizations like the Urban League, the Safer Foundation, which help ex-offenders, they don't do nothing. They've gotten trillions of dollars off the Black community because some of them are written into legislation. And I'm putting this information out there. So Black people, we need to research these things. We need to research organizations like the Divine Nine. We need to research the Urban League and the Safer Foundation. We need to research the 548 Foundation. These foundations are the ones who are the gatekeeping Negroes. And when the dollars come to the Black community to uplift it, see, that's the reason why so many people of different origins come to the Black community, because they know that they can get money out of these NGOs, whether they get a small amount, they still get it. And then the NGOs take over 80% of the money and put it in their pocket and don't have to be accountable, Doc.
No. And you know, that's what you stumbled across, right?
Yes.
You actually did stumble across that last week, and they weren't expecting you to. That's why they were trying to run you up out of there. Like, no, how dare he? But see, they were triggered by your hat.
Just by
Had they not gotten triggered, would we be here right now having this conversation?
No,
Do you
we
know what
wouldn't.
I'm saying?
Well, you know,
I find it interesting.
God has a way of always exposing things, and to the American people and patriots across this country, if you didn't hear, I accidentally stumbled up on a way that these NGOs, especially in the Black community, they're taking federal dollars and they're hiding illegals. They're giving them identities, and they're using Black people names and social security numbers, and our children, you know, the mindset that make them think that they can get help, but they're not helping our children and they're not helping the Black community. So it wasn't by accident. God put me there for that reason. And I'm going to tell these organizations and the NGOs who are listening to this show, I know you listening to this show, but I can guarantee you this. This was the biggest mistake that you ever made. To all of the Safer Foundation, the 548, I'm going to call your name out. The Safer Foundation, the Urban League, 548, the Divine Nine, the Workforce of Cook County, all of you NGOs who have been stealing money out of the city of Chicago and using Black people to get that money, your day has come. I guarantee you that. I'm not going to say nothing else, but your day has come. And what you've done to the Black community of all these years, there's going to be retribution for what you've done. I can guarantee you that. Your thoughts on it, Doc?
Oh, yeah. Just my word to the wise, do not think about destroying any documents because under legal jurisdiction, you will have to recreate and recompose every single document. Don't do it, because everything carries a digital footprint as well as a physical footprint. So if you try to destroy anything, it will come back on you. So hopefully
Well,
you're under the direction of correct legal counsel. Just wanted to put
well,
that in there.
I'm going to say this much: the stench of what happened in Chicago with this program, it
Hmm.
has reached all the way up into Washington D.C. It is there,
Wow.
and
Okay.
so we have been talking with them this morning. So believe me, this is not going to go away. You NGOs who have done all of these bad things, like Stacey Abrams stealing money, lying to the people, using Black people's situation, causing harm to Black people by not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's a shame. It's a shame that our children are suffering the way they are, and we have
Yeah.
Black people in high places that can make the difference. Just like Kamala Harris said one time, I could destroy somebody's reputation with the stroke of a pen as a
Hmm.
prosecutor, and she did. She
Yeah.
jailed 2,000 or 3,000 Black men, and this is the sad part. Joe Biden created the crime bill. And I'm offended as hell when I hear guys like Steve Harvey say, well, Donald Trump is a racist. Black people, we have to start wondering that this racist man, he's going to come after your Medicare. He's going to come after your Social Security. He's going to come after the programs that need it the most. That is misinformation. That is a flat ass lie that he told, and
Yeah.
Black people should have already waken up, because we saw what happened to us under Joe Biden's leadership. We saw
Right.
the illegals. We continue to see millions of dollars being siphoned off, given to them, just like here in
Mhm.
Chicago. Black people, we've seen J.B. Pritzker take money out the Black community and give it to illegals like these. We've seen it. So we should not even pay attention to Steve Harvey. Steve
Mm.
Harvey is a trillionaire, and he has not put one dime in the Black community anywhere, nowhere.
Mm-mm.
And so
Not
when
that
we
where you can see it.
no, and you won't see it. And that's why I say I have a bone to pick with all these rich Black people, all these Black people that make millions of dollars off Black people. And then you don't have the pride of being a Black person, because just like Muhammad Ali loved Black people. That's why he went to jail, because he wanted to uplift Black people. Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all of these, the same man. But what I'm saying is they had a love. George Foreman had a love for Black people. All of these athletes who put their lives on the line with civil rights leaders, with pastors in the past who had the pride of being Black. Artists like James Brown saying, "Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud." All of these Black leaders in our community stood together to uplift the Black community. We don't see that now. We
Mm.
see every man for themselves. When I make it out the ghetto, I'm gone. I ain't bringing nothing back. And thus, don't complain when your child is laying on the ground and there's a chalk line around him, and you wonder why it happened, when you got all this name and fame and you won't even reinvest into your own people, Doc.
Well, I was talking to a friend of ours, my husband and I, at karaoke last week, and he reminded me of, I want to say, FDR's plan, and then LBJ, was it the Great Society or something to that effect. And it started decades ago, even before the civil rights movement, but it
Mm-hmm.
was always meant to destroy the Black community and the American society as a whole and lead us down the pathway of socialism, where there's only a small percentage of those on top and then everyone else is at the bottom. And, Donald Trump, like him or not, he wants to spread the wealth amongst everyone. And people say, no, he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's trying to get people here that shouldn't be here on the
Yes.
American tax dollars. So when you hear about, hey, they're taking away your Social Security, yeah, from people who shouldn't be receiving it in the first place.
Yes.
I need
Yes.
people to go to the Social Security Administration and look up non-documented, okay,
Right.
non-documented individuals that are getting Social Security that have never paid into our Social Security system.
They've been getting it. And this is the whole
Yes.
thing. And this is why I say what we uncovered by accident. See, to the American people and patriots across this country, these governors like J.B. Pritzker, they knew what they were going to do with these illegals. And that's why they emptied out all the other programs to invest into this, because they could walk away with trillions of dollars and it not even be seen as though, because they felt right now, leadership felt that the grassroots black community is so beat down that they have no way to protest when they get caught stealing. JB done got caught stealing. Brandon Johnson done got caught stealing. They were all out there in DC lying about the things that they were doing, and they've been helping these migrants. That's because it's lucrative for them to help the migrants, because they can take the taxpayer dollars and say, well, you know what? I'm going to give them 10 cents out of the dollar and I'm going to keep 90% myself. Right. That's the type of dealing that they're doing. And that's why you see these mayors in these blue cities and these blue states, the politicians in these states are just stealing the damn money from the taxpayers blatantly.
Yeah, and they're still trying to protect them. It's crazy.
And the thing of it is, it's the mindset of the black community, because we got black people stealing from black people, locking black people up, selling black people out, using, abusing them, giving them money, and yet the black community is not flourishing at all.
Yeah, because even Kathy Hochul, she's still trying to protect illegals in her state and actually training them on how to evade ICE. In my opinion, she needs to go to jail. Well, you are, yes, directly thwarting and, an official investigation by ICE, and you're telling people how to get away with it. Yeah, you need to go to jail.
You know what? That's the same time. And I'm glad you said that, because in this situation that we stumbled up on, it's the same type of situation. It is J.B. Pritzker who created a law, and this is the scary part of it. In 2021, he created the legislation, this Climate Equitable Jobs Act. And so it has been going for about 3 years now. And you've got people information and you have not put them in the program. So the question is, where is the money going? Where's the money been going to that time?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden it's a situation to where you need to use these black people now, because the door has been opened. And see, what J.B. Pritzker did here in the state of Illinois, he created a law, and people don't know about this. J.B. Pritzker created a law that would allow illegal migrants to have new identities in the state of Illinois if they've been here for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and then unfortunately that goes against the Constitution, and every state uses the Constitution.
And so
you did it illegally. You can give people more than the law. You're citizens. You cannot give people that are illegally here because they've already broken the law. So it's like you're giving criminals rights. That completely goes against the Constitution. It's unconstitutional.
And so these governors and these mayors who continue to use tactics, because what we stumbled up on was a training ground. These people was in there trying to learn how to avoid deportation. They was in there training about how they can get more money out of the government and make American people look like fools. I just saw an influencer that was here in our country, and he was an illegal, and he was talking about how much money he got. You might have saw him on the internet talking about, oh, I got this. He's showing hundreds of dollars. He's talking about how stupid Americans was and how we don't do this. He just basically was saying Americans are dummies. I'm over here making big money. I'm all on the internet. I'm making money now, and the American people ain't crap. But just as soon as Tom Homan them got into office, now he was on the internet crunching. Oh no, they about to take my family, holding the baby up. You wasn't holding the baby up when you had them dollars in your hand.
Now look, the baby can go with you. You don't have to leave the baby here.
Yeah, now they got deported, and now he wants sympathy. So I mean, what President Trump is doing with Tom Homan them is the correct thing that the American citizens need done. We need that. They don't need to be in our country running our Social Security plan up and they never put nothing in. They don't need to be having housing and told that they can come and squat. See, these are the things they told that we can squat in America. We can take houses. We can just take whatever we want.
No.
Just go to the black community. They don't have nothing.
And that's the linchpin right there.
Yep.
You're not saying go to Martha's Vineyard and do it, or
No.
Beverly Hills, or anywhere else. You focus on the Black community because you already know that we're at the bottom and we're already being taken advantage of. And the thing that hurts the most, in my opinion, is that these governors and these mayors have allowed it. You shouldn't be able to show your face to a Black person in the country. Newsom, Holcomb,
Exactly. Yes.
Pritzker,
Yep.
Johnson.
Johnson.
Look, there's a whole bunch of people I can name. Pelosi,
Yes.
Jasmine Crockett. Like, you
Oh
should
my God.
never, ever be allowed to talk to a Black person in this country after the harm that you've caused. Don't.
Well, that quickly about Jasmine Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
She's from Texas.
Yes.
And where she represent, there's no economics going on. This crime see, those are the things that I'm talking about. You got Black people that's in places that can make a difference in their communities. And yet she out here running her mouth with the fake nails, with the fake hair, with all the makeup on, looking like something that she's not. She does not represent a working class people.
No.
She is a parasite. No, she's not concerned. She's concerned about how much TV she can get on and how she can flump her hair and talk about somebody on Hot Wheels, and her community is a hot mess.
It is. Yeah.
And so, but to the American people and patriots across this country, especially Black Americans, this is the type of leadership that we're seeing that represent us. These people aren't representing us. They're representing themselves. They're part of the problem on the reason why the Black community doesn't have any advancement. The Crockett's and all of these people, Brandon Johnson, the Stacey Abrams, these people do not represent the Black community. They represent themselves. They represent different organizations like the Urban League, the Divine Nine. They're representing them, and that's where Black people money is going when they get it. Just like the $2 billion that Stacey Abrams stole through organizations like the Urban League, like 548. It's proven. We're going to play this clip, Doc. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Earlier today, the state Senate voted to launch a probe into the new Georgia project for alleged financial misconduct. Abrams formed the group during her first run for governor. Fox's Deidre Dukes is live tonight at the state capitol with the new developments. Deidre?
Yeah, this is the same committee that is currently investigating Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis. I spoke to the committee chair this afternoon, and he insists that Abrams is not being targeted by this new investigation. Senator Bill Cowser sponsored SR 292 to open a probe into the new Georgia project, which was formed by Stacey Abrams after the grassroots organization was fined $300,000 by the State Ethics Commission for allegedly functioning as an illegal super PAC during Abrams' 2018 gubernatorial campaign.
So nobody is after her individually. It's that these organizations that admittedly supported her with dark money have confessed.
The Senate panel is still investigating accusations of potential conflicts of interest and the misuse of state funds.
Now, Doc, I want to stop it right there just for a second.
I get it. Look, I totally understand.
Wait a minute. Okay, so that's the pattern. That type of pattern is what these NGOs are doing.
Right.
Go ahead.
What they're doing is they're using the charitable organization to get federal funding. But then they'll set up another organization that's another 501c3 that takes donations. So they donate to donate to donate to donate. You know what I'm saying? And they just kind of play, I don't want to call it whack-a-mole. And no one's necessarily getting a salary, but they're just moving the money around strategically. And somehow out of all, let's just say 4 companies, a part of that money gets donated to someone's campaign. And that's what he was trying to say. It's like none of that money should ever be donated to a campaign. If you are the candidate, you should not be accepting campaign finances from any type of charitable organization that you're a part of.
And you know what? The saddest thing of it is this, $2 billion. She is part of 20 shell NGOs. And so just like you said, Doc, they had that money offshore ready to be distributed. But when Trump got in and Elon Musk started to do the Doge investigations, they froze that money. Mm-hmm. They froze that money and started this investigation only to find out that her name, they say, well, we're not coming after her directly. They're coming after the companies that bears her name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's that part. And it's like, why are all these companies bearing your name? And how did these companies donate to your campaign?
Yes.
Right. Because like he said, he goes, it's not wrong. You can have 50, charitable organizations, but they shouldn't be donating to your campaign.
Now listen to this. And to the American people and patriots across this country, listen to what I'm about to say. This is a pattern with the Democratic Party. It is a straight pattern to where what the leadership does is they create all these NGO type companies. And then they start washing the money through this company, wash till it gets all the way back to themselves. And the perfect example of this was, remember when the documents that Joe Biden said that was in the garage around his Corvette? Mm-hmm. Joe Biden, he was the vice president. First of all, he should have never had documents. That means that President Barack Obama gave him the keys to get the documents, and he should be charged too. I hope that's coming down the pipe. But the point that I'm making is Joe and his family had about 20 shell companies, Burisma, all of these other companies, and they just put the money in the company, and it goes from place to place to place to place, and then it ends back up to where the money came from, which is Joe Biden. Stacey Abrams used the same technique. That's the technique that's being used across the country to take federal taxpayer dollars, is to say, I'm going to help a certain group of people. And I'm going to get this money, and I'm going to put that money and to say, we're going to do voters' rights and all this other kind of stuff. That money never gets there. It's going from place to place to place. And this is a pattern. Yes, this is the pattern that the politicians are using, especially the Democratic leaders are using this type of program and this type of pattern to be able to take money from the American people and never do anything to make changes. But on paper, they look like they're rebuilding the world and the Black community should be self-sufficient. That's what they're doing on paper. But it is not showing in Chicago. It's not showing in Georgia. It's not showing in New York. It is Black people and these Black NGOs that are stealing money from Black people, not putting the money where it's supposed to go. And to the American people and patriots across this country, it's time for it to stop.
Oh yeah, but trust me, I'm learning on the outset because I'm the founder of a political party, and recently someone asked me to sit on a board of an organization, and at first I was like, yeah, and then a couple weeks passed and I was like, that's probably not the smartest thing to do, so I declined. And they were kind of sad I was leaving. I said, look, here's the thing, as the founder of a political party, I cannot be on your board. Now, if there's an event you guys want me to show up at or speak, or I can do those things, but I cannot be a member of your organization, because just so to speak, if that organization wanted to donate money to the Redemption Party, now they can do it in a clean way, right? Because I'm not a member of that organization. But if I was a member, it would put a cloud of speculation around it. And I'm just kind of, just being simple, using myself as an example, but it's like, no, like I even have my own company, and the things that I do for my company are completely separate from what I do as, the founder of the party. They're two separate lives. And this is something that Stacey Abrams, unfortunately, the lines got blurred, clouded, and they were, intersecting, let's put it that way, right? Where they should not have. How is your name going to be on the 501c3, right? On the foundation, but yet that money has ended up in your campaign, funding your campaign. That should not happen.
Well, Well, you know what? The reason why that they're so brazen about it is because just like here in the state of Illinois, there's a super PAC Democrat, whatever they call it. They got the House, they got the Senate, they got the governor, and it has been that way for a long time. And you would think that all of those black leaders that's be down at Springfield, and they're all in the black community, all the black leaders that are sitting in the city council, you would think that all of those black people will be looking out for the best interests of the black community.
You think?
You would think that. I'm a black man, and these are black people. As a pastor, I look down on and see if I can help everybody. But I'm really looking in the black community and saying, how can I help our people?
Right.
You know, it's how can we help our people? We see the issues, pastors across this country. We see the issues that we're faced with in our communities, and yet you won't address nothing. You'll sit there and be quiet and point fingers at me and say, oh, no, he ain't. No, if you're a man of God, you're supposed to be doing what Jesus was doing. If you read your Bible, God has a special way for those who are poor and oppressed. That's why Christ came, to relieve the poor and oppressed. He didn't come to relieve the rich, because the rich was the ones who oppressed the poor.
Yeah.
So as pastors, we're supposed to be looking for ways to create economics. We're supposed to be looking for ways to make sure our children are taught educational things and not about lesbianism and homosexuality.
Right.
As American citizens, we should be worried about how smart our children are. We used to be, but now they just graduating a bunch of social dummies.
Yeah, and people are screaming like, keep the Department of Education. It's like, but they weren't doing their job. Here's my thing. If you're doing your job, I'm going to fight for you to stay in place.
Exactly.
But I can't fight for you when our babies can't read and do basic math. They can't handwrite. Okay. Anyone under the age of 24 in this country does not know how to sign their name in cursive.
Nope, they don't. They do not.
Okay. And that should never be in our country. You know, now my husband and I, we had a little debate about it, and he wants changes in the Department of Education, which, you know, I understand where he's coming from, right? He's like, you know, you've dismantled it, but now who's actually going to help these children get the education that they need? Are we going to leave it up to the states? Because are the states failing them? Is it the counties? Is it right there in your local city that's failing them? And I think it's all of it. And now the parents actually, in my opinion, have a better opportunity to challenge everything, because now they no longer have the Department of Education to cry to. Who are you going to cry to? Where are you going to go? I mean, you can go to Miss McMahon, but she's going to be like, do your job.
Well, and that's what the American people should be looking at. Like I said, I was really offended by the fact that the misinformation that Steve Harvey is trying to portray, that President Trump is a racist. That's all that the Democratic Party has left.
That's all they got. But they want us upset. So we're out in the streets fighting. And they're like, where are the black people fighting? For what? You don't like us. You've already shown us you can't stand us. And now you want us to come out and fight? For what? For who?
It's the ridiculous. It's the ridiculous stuff. And black people, we have to say to ourselves, how ridiculous is that Al Sharpton and these other Negro preachers, house preachers, running around, Jamal Bryant running around in tight clothes like a homosexual, Kurt Franklin, all of them, they want to boycott because DEI got removed, and that's how DEI was used to put all these unqualified people in the schools. DEI was used to put all these unqualified people in these NGOs and black community. I mean, the whole DEI concept was a joke because it didn't help black people. It had no intentions to help black people. And the people that it was supposed to help, it helped, but not us, Doc.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I mean, to your point, you know, talking about Jamal Bryant, I mean, he made the statement, these runaway Negroes or runaway slaves, going to the White House. He made that during the event that President Trump had at the White House, I was like, why would you be calling people runaway slaves? Like, what is that about? Like, so are we slaves in your mind? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
what
let me
are
say
we
this.
doing?
Let me
What is
let me
going on?
let me say this to Jamal Bryant, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and all the rest of you house Negro preachers. And I ain't gonna say the N word because I'm gonna let you go with that. You are going to pay for what you have done. You have not helped the Black community. You've made money off the Black community. Jamal Bryant, I went to your daddy's church one time out in the Baltimore, upper Marlboro, Maryland, and wasn't nothing out there but a Mercedes and all these fancy cars. And they had enough nerve to be calling people out at the church. Jamal Bryant, your daddy was calling people out on the church that was behind on their tithes. What kind of God is it that you serve that you won't help your parishioners unless they pay their tithes? So you a false prophet. You don't count. You don't count. You're not part of God's plan. And to the American people and patriots across this country, if a pastor is not standing in the gap, if he's not out there trying to find solutions to the problems with our children, if he's not standing fighting the school system that's bad, if he's not standing up and saying, Black people, we need to hold our pride. We need to be vested into ourselves. If pastors are not trying to do what I'm trying to do to bring our community back to some structure, they're not working with God. I can tell you that, Doc.
Yeah, I mean, and you're extremely correct. I'm grateful for the church that I attend that we actually go through the Bible and we have different series to help us grow. And we're given practical biblical information so that we can grow as disciples. And that's how it should be. Church should not be the place where you're being told how you should and shouldn't vote. Right.
Exactly.
My pastor, he says, don't call me Republican or Democrat, call me a Christian, and he's like, you need to vote what's in your best interest. He goes,
Exactly.
I don't know what your best interest is, but you need to vote in your best interest to take care of your fellow man and yourself.
Well,
right.
We're supposed to stand in the gap as pastors. I tell people, because we still are citizens as well, you have the right to vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you to research. That's what I would tell you to do.
Yeah.
And as a pastor and as a citizen, I did my research on the Democratic Party. See, the Democrats don't want nobody to know that it was them that destroyed the Black Wall Street, which was the economic engine that would have put Black people financially over the top in America. See, they don't want you to know that. The Democrats don't want Black people to know that when I hear Steve Harvey talking about somebody being racist, that the Ku Klux Klan was a division of the Democratic Party to scare and destroy Black people's homes and to hang them. This all came from the Democratic Party. So Black people, we're voting for our own demise. How can it be that the Black community has never recovered after Black Wall Street? Because the Democrats got us, Lyndon B. Johnson drawed Black people in. And he said this, hell, if you give them niggers welfare, they'll be voting for us for the rest of their lives. And so they created welfare for Black people to get on and move the Black man out of the house and weaken the Black family. And women, you can't raise no man. Women can't raise no man. Because if it was, then we'd have a whole lot of men standing in the proper way, marrying our sisters, creating families and structure, and teaching their children to be proud to be Black and teach them about economics.
Right. Yeah.
And our men are not doing it.
Right. Because if you teach people how to hate themselves, they'll ultimately destroy themselves. And that's what they've done.
That's what they've done. They've done it. And we have sat back and watched it long enough. We got to make the changes on this. And saying that, Doc, I want to let the people of Chicago know that we do have an idiot we have an idiot as a mayor. We people who voted for Mayor Johnson, now that you know that you made a big mistake, because Mayor Johnson was merely a puppet to be able to suck money out of the taxpayers and justify it by saying that, we're a sanctuary city. All the money is going in his pocket. But I want to play a clip. See, when Brandon Johnson was in Washington, D.C., he was asked about the budget of Chicago. And Brandon Johnson told him that he didn't know the budget. You're the mayor of one of the largest cities in America, and you don't know your budget. And so let me give you the numbers to the budget here in Chicago. The budget here in Chicago was $17 billion. $17 billion. Brandon Johnson stated at the hearing that he only spent 1% of the $17 billion budget. And those who got a calculator counted up, because that 1% of $17 billion is $171 million. That's what he said. So far, Brandon Johnson has spent in excess of $171 million. Now here he go.
I have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone.
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing mayor.
We are back, and we.
Now, Doc, 1% is $171 million he's already spent on the migrants. Your thought about that?
Well, again, with our Constitution, you can give people more than law, and you should not give your citizens less. But you use funds. Now, I'm not sure all the money outside of your budget that's federal, but to use federal funds on people that are criminals because they were here illegally is a crime. It's just a crime. They're just committing crimes, and they're using policies, and I'll use big air quotes, to cover their tracks. It's still a crime. It doesn't matter. You've committed fraud.
Yes.
And you need to be dog walked to prison. Period.
Yes. He needs to, because now, see, that $171 million is floating around out there now. Yeah. It's floating in the city of Chicago, and he's trying to figure out ways to offset that cost, because, see, they've already distributed that $171 million to their pockets. And then now that there's been a freeze on money coming to Chicago, it's just floating around now with no basis, because they don't have the federal dollars to be able to wash it through and pull the money out. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. They're running it through NGOs. And, a lot of times, when people hear NGO, they're like, what is that? It's a non-governmental organization.
Yes.
And it can either be a 501c3 or a 501c4, because it's a non-governmental organization. So if you take federal funds and you give it to that organization, which is non-government, it washes it to make it so where you can distribute those funds to charitable organizations like a church or another organization or a campaign, right? Where that money gets further laundered down the line. And so that's always been the stepping stone of how the crime has actually been gotten away with.
And now I want our listeners to just remember the math that I did off the top of my head, $171 million that he spent on the migrants. Now, I'm going to play a clip to show that money is floating around and doesn't have a basis.
A president right now who is obfuscating his responsibilities that should be very clear based upon the Constitution.
A few moments later.
But he will need a better tool to address a budget shortfall of $175 million.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to...
Hold up, Doc. There's that $170-some million, ain't it?
Yeah, that shortfall.
But see, instead of 171 million, he's saying that we have a shortfall of 175 instead of 171. I'm gonna go and play some more of this.
Yeah, that means somebody got you on the
But
on the
how the mayor
ropes.
will manage it is a concern to many city council members. 18 have now signed a letter to the mayor calling for council authorization of any funding changes instead of unilateral action by the mayor's budget team.
To say that he's going to manage it because that's what he's elected to do isn't enough. We are the ones who appropriate the budget.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today.
Doc, you see now you see it, don't you?
Yeah,
That 171 million turned out to be 175, an extra $4 million in there for the pocket. Okay. Now your thoughts on
Somebody
that?
was like, I need my cut to keep this clean. I need my cut of the money. See, I can't trust the alderman.
No, you can't.
And I can't trust the mayor, because for the duration of his term that he's been in office, these aldermen have been complicit in what has been happening. Now you want to come out and say something? You're a part of this.
Well,
you
Lopez,
don't get to, all of a sudden say, oh, no, I don't think so. Really? Where were you 3 years ago?
Well, they was all in cahoots together. And when the migrants first came out, and Ray Lopez, he needs to be replaced as well immediately. All the aldermen at the city council needs to be replaced because they were in cahoots with Brandon Johnson to keep the migrants here. They fought the citizens here in Chicago. They pulled all sorts of shenanigans like shutting down the meetings so that they couldn't vote against the sanctuary city. All of these aldermen went against the people, like Ray Lopez. Ray Lopez benefited from it because at the time he had illegals in his district and they was funding them and they was helping them. And then it didn't get to be fashionable till the kickback came. And then the citizens start saying, oh no. And then all of a sudden, he, just like some of the rest of them, came against Brandon Johnson. And now they throwing him under the bus. But at the same time, they have received millions. All the aldermen in the city of Chicago, whether they get reelected or not, they have received millions of dollars to participate, to keep illegals here.
Yeah.
They have received it.
Yeah. And they turned their back on their citizens, right?
Yes,
all
exactly.
of their citizens. I mean, I've seen some of the meetings where people were just, I don't want to say they were shouting Mayor Johnson down, but they were letting him know, we're not going to do this. And they put all of the aldermen on notice. They put any of the council members on notice. They put everybody on notice. It's like every single one of you is going to be replaced because you've been complicit in the destruction of the city of Chicago.
And they should be. How can you go back to your constituents, especially in the Black community? We got all of these Black aldermen in the Black community. Stephanie, over in the 16th ward where my grandmother used to run, Stephanie Coleman, she's a complete joke. She also belongs to the fraternities and sororities. See, what happened is this. They went back to the city. Most of the people with the Divine Nine went back into the city. They ran for different areas to become aldermen. They're the gatekeepers now who are getting all the money that's coming in from these NGOs and for their communities and rediverting the money everywhere else. There's nothing good going on in Inglewood, Miss Coleman. You're a liar and a thief. And they continue to steal, all of them that are in the city council. And they needs to be replaced. The citizens of Chicago cannot go another elections with the same type of leadership that allowed the illegals to come into our community and squat in homes and take cars and take money and take over our schools and our economic. I don't see how any Chicagoan who love this city and love their family and children will vote for an alderman who continued to abuse the community, Doc.
Yeah. And, the one thing that I am really enjoying about this election cycle is because people can no longer hide. They have veered so far into their criminal behavior that they can't hide it anymore. It's like, where do you go? You were pushing so hard for people that were here committing crimes, They crossed the border. They committed a crime. But you are pushing to protect them over the citizens in your own city. These aren't just people that you're not going to see. You're going to see these people all the time. And you railed against them, completely destroying their rights as American citizens. How do you even show your face to say, can you please give me your vote? Can you give me your support? Really? With what?
And
With
Doc,
what?
And you know, I want to play this clip, Doc, so that the American people, especially Black people, can understand that the DEI was nothing but a fake program. Hang on, Doc. Let me get this ready.
Real F around and find out moment. The real F around and find out moment is here. A lot of people are looking at the Black community thinking that we are the recipients and benefactors of DEI programs and affirmative action programs. And I know affirmative action is no longer, but whenever they hear the term DEI or they hear the term affirmative action, they look to the Black community thinking that we are the benefactor. Now, here's some information for you. The #1 recipient of DEI are white women. That is according to the U.S. Department of Labor. And others fall under that group, under the minority group, the ethnic minority. #1 recipient under that group are Latino and Hispanic Americans. #2 are Asian Americans. #3 are Native Americans. #4, individuals with disability. #5, veterans. Okay? And #6, the LGBTQ plus community. And guess who comes last at receiving DEI benefits? Guess who comes last? That's right. Black Americans. Black people. Let me also say, you can do a Google search and you will see the primary benefactors of DEI programs are not only white women, but white men, white male CEOs. Those are the ones who have benefited the most from DEI initiative programs.
And I'm not surprised because, you know, a lot of the CEOs were, you know, crying. You can't let this go away. It's going to mess up the Black people. But it was not there to help us in the first place. It's, you know, I'm tired of being everybody's usable placard when it's necessary. It's like, okay, we want to use the Black card because, you know, we need civil rights too. No, stop that. Create your own plight and lane. Stop using Black people to push your agenda. Just stop using us. Like we are like not an emotional support pet. Like I need people to stop that. But that's how Black people have been used for decades, and it needs to stop.
And Doc, you're so correct. And I wanted to play that. And Black folks, if you don't believe that clip, go to the Department of Labor, just like she said. Google it yourself, and you'll see that Black people are the last on the list to receive DEI benefits. And that's the problem that we're having because these NGOs, the Safer Foundation, the Urban League, the 548 Foundation, the Divine Nine, they have been using these DEI programs to get money, but yet not use Black people to be put into the program to make a difference.
Yeah. And one thing I do appreciate about Byron Donald, I heard a short take on him with the Breakfast Club. He said, you know, the Black community does need economic development because it was destroyed. And I appreciated the way he presented that and the argument that he made, because it's true.
It's true.
Our community was purposely targeted and destroyed. It's still being targeted and destroyed. But the one thing that I can respect from Byron is that he's at least acknowledged it and he wants to do something about it. That's different from Jasmine Crockett running around saying, this person is racist. I can't believe this person said this. This, government Hot Wheels. Like, she's not trying to solve the issue, and she knows there's an issue. So when I look at both of those House representatives and comparing the both of them, it's like, yeah, I might not agree with everything that Byron Donald says, but I can't agree with that. It's like, yes, the Black community does need economic development to be built up financially.
And that's what is needed in these blue cities, because the fact of the matter is a lot of the children that are out here committing crimes, they don't know anything else. They don't know how to be men. Women don't know how to be women. They're uneducated. They're living off the internet. They're trying to feed and find themselves off the internet. They haven't had no structure. They haven't had no upbringing. And the most important thing, they have no spiritual foundation. They have no spiritual foundation. They have no protection. They don't know about Christ. They don't understand God because it's not taught to them. And that's why our children are heartless and cruel and will do anything, is because they don't know nothing about Christ. They don't have nothing inside them that would say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to kill that person just because I'm high or drunk. And that's why our communities are war zones, because parents have failed their children. They failed to teach the children, and they failed their children by letting the government come into their families and into their homes. Like Lyndon B. Johnson said, give them welfare and we'll control them forever. That's what parents have failed. They've used these programs that we see that have destroyed the Black community. They never was meant to help us. They was only meant to discriminate and to keep us in a place of obscurity. Dr. Lazarus, we got to get out of here.
Yes. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. And also thank you for following Unfiltered Vision News. And as I like to always say, when you see these things occurring, look up, for your redemption is near. And please check out the USA Redemption Party at usaredemptionparty.com. We are looking for candidates to be servants of the people, not politicians, and also members of our party to help those candidates win races all over this country. I know this year is going to be a phenomenal year going into 2026 and 2027. I'm just looking forward to seeing some big changes across this country and really see the Redemption Party make a mark.
Well, Doc, I also want to talk about your Unfiltered show. Let people know where you're going to be at in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yes, I will be on Let the Truth Be Told network, which you will be able to find on iOS and Android devices, and also on Roku. So if you have a Roku television, it'll be an app that you can download, even if you have a Samsung television. So any smart TV you have, you can download Let the Truth Be Told network. We're going to have some amazing shows. Andre Barnes of Numbers USA, he's going to have a television program. We're going to have, like I said, just a really incredible lineup.
We picked up the All-American show. That consists of Nicole Lee, Ambrose, and Brother Field. These are shows that Miss Ambrose is working out of the White House.
Nice.
So this show is really going to be, the network is going to be crazy. It's going to be good. It's going to be informational. And we'll let everybody know where to tune in at. It's coming up. We're finishing up right now, getting the platform built. So it's going to be good, Doc. I'll see you tomorrow. No, I'll see you a little later on. So have a good evening. We'll talk soon. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in and watching the show. I'm going to ask you to share it around. Go to rumble.com/user/David 1050 David Lowe 1057. You can find us at Moments of Truth 9920 on YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, David Lowery, You can find us on LinkedIn, and I'm telling you about all these platforms that you can find us on, but you will be finding us on Roku Television. We have been able to get our own network, and there's shows out there who want to be on our network. You can call us at 708-663-5262. If you have a great show that you want to air, if it's going to benefit the people and benefit our community and benefit us as American citizens and patriots, then we want you on our network. And in saying that, I'm going to give you my last thoughts. To the American people and patriots across this country, we have already seen what we needed to see to make changes in our government and our country, especially to Black citizens. Now that we can see that the cat is out the bag, that the Democrats never had anything good for us, that they tried this migrant takeover in the Black community. It was the Black leadership that allowed this. It was the mayor of Chicago. It was the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. Just like with these programs that they have with these non-governmental organizations where they're getting millions of dollars and saying they're helping Black people, and they're not. This is an opportune time for Black folks to stand up and reclaim their communities. But first, we must get rid of all the people who do not represent our community. We must get rid of all the pastors who are not standing in the gap saying we need to be righteous to help the Black community. All these organizations, the Safer Foundation, the Urban League, the NAACPs, the Divine Nine, all these Black organizations don't give a damn about Black people, only to make money off of them. And now that we see that, we must remove them from our community if we are going to survive. These organizations have been nothing but parasites to the Black community. And if the Black community is ever to rise out the ashes, and we will, with the help of God and with the help of Christ, we must return back to a structure of integrity, honesty, and politicians, you must turn and return the power back to the people that elected you for office and to the citizens of the United States. We can't let the Democratic Party, who have destroyed this country, who have brought mayhem and crime and killings from illegals and raising taxes and gas and all these illegal programs that they've used to rob us. We must never let them get back in power of this country again. If we do, this country is surely going to die. I want to thank you for tuning in. God bless you. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great evening.